The next speakers are, thank you. Oh, the next speakers, they are also in the industry for many, many years. We will have Ruby Liu, president and founder of Gill Laboratories in Asia. She has a 18-year experience in a law firm, so I suppose you are a lawyer, so let me keep a distance. And we have Andrew or Andy Lucas, almost 40 years of experience in the gemological world. He's a great communicator. He is a great educator. I remember him still at GIA, doing videos, doing field gemology, being passionate about sharing the passion for gems and the passion for gemology. And so today they will be talking to us about the color gemstone industry in China. So ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Ruby Liu and Andrew Lucas. How are you? Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here today. It's so nice to see everyone face to face, to be able to shake hands, to give a hug to all the people that we are so fond of. Ruby and I have been, you might say, locked down in China for 3 years. So it's great to get out and see everybody. And because we've been locked down in China, we're going to do a presentation on the Chinese market that we have been studying very, very closely. A market that in 2021 surpassed the United States as the leading consumer of jewelry and watches in the world by a substantial amount, partly because the Chinese tourists couldn't go on shopping trips to America and Europe, but also because the market is growing substantially. We have in all of your bags the China market report for 2022, comparing 2021 and 2022. The statistics in this report is from our laboratory. We see a lot of color stones coming into China. That's really your bread and butter. Your, let's say, 1,000 retail dollar onward up. We see a lot of the stones that are going to be the center stones in jewelry that you deal in. We're going to give you these statistics, but we are also going to discuss the sentiment, the feeling of the trade in China, the people, and what the spirit is like right now, optimism. One thing we do at Guild, which we're a gemological laboratory and we are a gemological institute, a school, we monitor social media very carefully in China for what is happening with colored gemstones. And what I can tell you, if you look at all of the different social media platforms, Baidu, WeChat, TikTok, all of the media used in China, the volume of questions about colored gemstones is increasing dramatically, the amount of questions. And if you look at the types of questions, you have very basic questions like, what is an emerald? And then you can have sophisticated questions regarding source and quality grades like, what is Namya Jedi spinel? A wide range of sophistication in the questions that vary somewhat if you're looking at your first-tier cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, or your second- and third-tier cities. Click that a little sooner. So take a look at emerald. Look at this bar graph showing from 2017 to 2022. This is what we see coming into China. Emerald was not a traditional stone for the Chinese market. And in the beginning, when it was being promoted, there was a lot of confusion about enhancement. A lot of not accepting emerald in China. A lot of work was done by the trade, by us, by other groups working together to educate the Chinese consumer. And now emerald is not only accepted in China, it is one of the stars of color stones in China. It is one of the fastest growing color stones we've seen, and it is the stone that a lot of big companies are looking at to promote in a large way. Emerald is now, from almost nothing and a problematic stone, a superstar in China. In the report that we have to you, we give a lot of statistics, and you can see the preferred size range in China. This is generally from 3/4 carat to about 1/4 carat. It peaks, it increases dramatically, and this fits into a lot of the styles of jewelry in China that are a bit smaller. So everything is sold in China, from your commercial quality small stones, 1/2 carat to 1.5 carats, to large, superfine quality stones. But what we're seeing is this range of size is extremely popular in China. What colors do they like in China? I have found this very, very fascinating. In ruby, emerald, sapphire, they like vivid colors. We find a real strong desire for a vivid green range. Intense green, a little bit lighter, less saturated color sells, especially if it's a clean and brilliant stone. But the vivid color is what they really like. And at Guild, we have a grade range called verdant green. And that is the most saturated green without too much darkness coming into the color. But from my perception, what I've seen in emerald, ruby, and sapphire, when I look at the stones, I see a vivid color. When the Chinese look at their preference, they see a little bit more depth of color that they prefer, especially if you've been around like many of you have and were there for the Japanese boom. Definitely a higher depth of color than the Japanese liked in the 80s and the 90s. Both the orange and the blue in the 2021 and 2022 graphs are in the vivid green range. The blue vivid green represents that verdant or the strongest range in the vivid color. What you can see is the Chinese market is moving more toward this stronger color, more toward expensive stones. We see this across the board in China. And remember, 2021 and 2022, we had a supply chain disruption in China far more than the rest of the world, far more disruptive. Very difficult to get supply into China, very difficult to get the right stones into China for the market. But the demand is growing. The supply has been dwindling. Gentlemen, 2023 is going to be your year for China. That demand is strong, and they need the supply, especially in these colors for emerald. Now, the enhancement was so confused in China. What's the difference on the oil and the resin? It just wasn't accepted for a number of years. It took a lot of education to the trade without any bias, just giving the facts. That is the key in China, giving the facts and helping the trade and the public to work it out. Now, emerald, like I said, is a superstar, but the market has decided it only wants insignificant and minor. Anything more enhancement than minor just doesn't sell in China, at least unless it's a commercial grade without a report that gives you that type of distinction. But if people are spending money on an emerald in China, even 1/2 carat, 3/4 carat stones, nice quality, they want a report, they want to see if it's insignificant and minor. And again, you see the increase in insignificant, that's demand, not supply. It is demand from the market, even with the supply chain disruption in China, which has been unbelievable in the last couple years. Very, very high supply chain disruption. If you look at this chart, this represents our reports where a country of origin is requested on the report. So while you see Colombia is the greatest percentage group of stones that gets a country of origin request, the reality we know coming into the lab is 60 to 70% of the emeralds coming in are Zambian. They simply do not request a country of origin report because that doesn't increase the price. But it used to be in China, all you could sell was Colombian. But now Zambian material is very well accepted. They know there's not a price premium, but they look at the quality of the stone they can get for the price and the value they can get. And Zambia is the big stone that is selling in China. Take a look at Afghanistan. The percentage increase in our lab, what we saw. That was one place where the Chinese were coming in, making connections, and buyers buying stronger with the Afghan goods. Also, Afghanistan has been a brand name now in China for emeralds. They start to appreciate the qualities of Afghan. Now, the SWAT material from Pakistan, that decreased in the percentage, but the demand is higher than ever for SWAT material. It's just that some of the mining license issues in Mingora and such has hurt the production. But the Chinese found they loved the SWAT material because in those smaller sizes, 1/2 carat, 3/4 carat, they got that rich, vivid green color, but in a size that was very useful for jewelry in China. So SWAT became this almost premium brand name in China. Spinel is such a great case study in China. It shows you what can happen. Pink to red spinel in China, virtually unheard of in China. And all of a sudden, and during a pandemic, boom, you cannot get enough. I love the look on your face. You cannot get enough pink to red spinel in China, especially high quality pink to red spinel. Everyone is asking for it. Everyone is screaming for it. They can't get enough. And what really brought this about? You know, trade names. I know some people love them, some people hate them. I'll tell you, in China, they work great. What happened with us was we had the trade coming to us and say, okay, spinel is on the rise. We got people promoting this Jedi term that we read about. But they're using this term, it's brown spinel, that they're selling on large scales across the internet. You have to give a standard for it. You know, I come from a background where I'm not, Ruby knows, yeah, you got that look. I'm not that willing to go along with it. But it was convinced to me, if you don't come up with a standard, you're hurting the public. You're not helping them because it's being abused. So we came up with a standard. We looked at that vivid color. We looked at that exceptional fluorescence that causes that glow from within of that neon color and that brightness, no extinction, the Jedi, not the dark side. It was brilliant. Once a standard was created, then you can see from that last chart how it boomed in growth in China. And everyone is screaming for the Jedi spinel. But this also caused an appreciation for all spinel. In the laboratory, we primarily see these Jedi calls. But now in China, they're going, oh, you know what? I like these softer pinks also. I like some of these other colors. And we may not see them in the lab, but the whole market for spinel in China has boomed, and I've never seen anything move as fast. Same thing with aquamarine. Santa Maria color aquamarine. This caused, people saw an aquamarine, I can get a rich, vivid color, a strong color. It caused the aquamarine to boom in sales. Super strong demand. And this demand caused the lighter colors to move also. It's amazing. Things move so fast in China. And you can see, we see the Santa Maria color in the lab predominantly, even though it's a minority. But the reality is all the aquamarine is moving in China. Let's talk about the people. What we see, the demographics in our school. It's young. 31 to 40 years old, 25 to 26 years old, 26 to 30, the majority of our students. And these are the bosses. These are not the employees. Think about how young the industry is. Even my director of education is young. Everybody's young but me. Also, in 2018, 90% of our customers were from the Colorstone wholesale industry in Shenzhen. Now, less than 50% of our customers are from the Colorstone wholesale industry. So who are the rest of these people? They are gold dealers. They are diamond dealers, jade dealers. They're tired of everyone having the same thing. They see the higher profit margin in color. Designers, retailers, jewelry manufacturers, broadcasters are the champions of colored gemstones in China. You would not believe how stones sell by live broadcast. This is pumping the colored stone industry up. What I'm spending a lot of my time on right now is reaching the public. We know that we have to reach the public and educate them about colored stones. And I'll tell you something about the Chinese market. If they feel you're giving them the facts, if they feel you're educating them, if they see value and they feel confident and assured, they will spend money on colored stones from commercial all the way to top end. The key is, do they feel comfortable? Do they feel confident? That is the key in color. Now I'd like to turn it over to Ruby Liu. Now you've heard an outsider that's been inside China, my perspective. I'd like you to hear directly from an insider in the market about the Chinese market and the people.
Thank you, Andy. Hi, everyone. Andy just shared some statistics from our lab. If we consider China market as a person, those statistics I would say is a fresh blood circulating in the market. So I want to share some insight from behind of these statistics from Chinese perspective. I'll start with a story. Last year, I have a girlfriend and who has been a lawyer for many years, and he asked me, say, I want a ring with a red stone. Can you give me some recommendation? I say, do you want a ruby or do you want a stone, any stone in red color? And she asked, what's the difference? And this is a very well educated lady, and I presume her income would be in the top 10% of Chinese. And they know very little about the color stone. So she is the typical consumer in China. And after she learned and studied, she ended up with buying a nice spinel, spending 1.4 million RMB. So maybe a lot of people find it's difficult to sell in the market. There is no recognition for color stone. However, just because they know almost nothing about color stone, they are very open and accepting to all type of stones from all origins. Some people may see big potentials in this market. So this is about our customer. Okay, if you look at this picture, I'm sorry, I have to go back. Yes. If you look at the last picture, how to go back? That is the number one seller, color stone seller on Taobao platform for continuous 3 years. They invited us to join an education section just to talk about topic of paparacha sapphire. And we took questions randomly from the audience for just half an hour. If you look at the comments, if you read Chinese, it's very interesting. The young audience say, so we are so happy to learn from Grandpa Andy. And some of them say, I never expect color stone is so interesting because like Andy mentioned, our major mainstream customer and from the trade, they are between 30 and 40 or even younger. So after we answer some question, it's like a pure education. We didn't say a word about the merchandise, and the sales just skyrocket. And they are not.
I know that's going to be the only thing you remember from this talk.
Okay, now I would like to describe, picture the trade in China. So a lot of people will consume, you're a professional, you're a seller, you should know a lot about color stone. At least you have to know what you're doing. But actually, if you look at my customer base, my top 20 customer, they did not exist 2 years ago. 50% of my top 20 clients, they did not exist 5 years ago. If you look into my customer list of top 100 customers, 80% of them did not exist 10 years ago. This is China. We don't have a history about color stone. So they're selling, they're growing, and they're learning at the same time. So it takes a little patience and it takes a little effort to get into their mindset. So once you get into their mindset, you can even create a lot of demand. You can give them a lot of new conception. Here is another story. Here is another example. This young designer, he graduated from an Italian art school. It's not about the jewelry, nothing about the gem and jewelry. And he came back to China, created his personal ID on different major new media platform. And he accumulated over 4 million followers. People follow him because they admire his experience, his lifestyle, and he learned some color gemstone knowledge from him. And just in last year, in March 2022, he started to sell on the TikTok, like Chinese version TikTok, Douyin, we call it Douyin. He started to sell color stone. His first show sold $4 million within 1 day. So this is just a start. Because we have like a Double 11 festival in November, it's like a Boxing Day online, and he sold $90 million within 10 days. And this is a young boy in his 20s with like 1 year or 2 year experience with color stone. Yes, you may say, okay, he knows nothing. What does he know? But he really sell, and he really promote color stone in China. And also, it doesn't move. Okay, so I know a lot of like foreign dealers. So we are friends. They ask, why do we need social media exposure in China? Because I only do like a wholesale business. I don't have to do social media. But actually, as Andy mentioned, the mainstream seller and the buyer in China, they are between 30 and 40s or even younger. They grow up with the internet and they feel at home at internet. So online exposure is not a tool for them to get offline business. It's part of their business. Actually, online exposure defines who they are. So if you want to expand your customer base, or if you want to grow the color stone in business in China, you have to get some exposure online. Because you could give them your name card at the pavilion, at the traditional exhibition, but they will go back, check you online. If you cannot reach them, you will lose them, and somebody else go online will get them. So this is a reality. That's why we do a lot of online exposure or education to make the color stone business grow. Okay, I would like to share our experience as a little case study in China, how to do social media in China. Actually, in 2016, Guild entered China market. We were just a little startup lab at the time. Everybody say, nobody know who Guild is, so you have no chance. But after 6 years, we built up a so-called social media matrix with over 106,000 followers, precise followers from the trade. And we constantly do education. We promote transparency, stability, and technical standard. So I could say now, if we want to promote something, the whole industry will know it immediately. And we built our image as one of the leading lab in China. So this kind of exposure is not about like propaganda or you try to sell your stuff. Actually, it's a promotion about the whole color stone industry, about the understanding of color stone or the appreciation of beauty. Just last month, we held a contest named we call the Aurora Gem and Jewelry Contest. We got about 20,000 people watch alive while this happening. We do like a winner awarding ceremony. However, we end up with like over 7 million viewers. But how did that happen? Because it's not because us, because they want to watch anything about guild. They want to participate. They want to, the whole industry actually want to promote color stone to enhance the appreciation of beauty and the rarity of color stone. Also, we also do pearls. Let's look at some a little statistics. We end up with over 100 media to report this event, and also some mainstream traditional newspaper and TV join this. Eventually, some buyer of this Wind Warner product get so excited. Some celebrities start to post their short video online, and that like magnify the whole exposure. Okay, it's not moving. Okay, in the last 3 years, we were actually, China market was isolated from the whole world. But we never, we work very hard, try to bring sauce to China. Andy just mentioned bring China to the south, but we also work hard to bring sauce to China. In the last 3 years, we held 29 live broadcasts. We called like master classes. And we invited 47 industrial leaders globally and experts from 19 countries, 5 continents, to do over 100 hours live broadcast. And yes, physically we are distant, but actually we feel we're closer to the world. And I really want to thank a lot of people in this room. Sean is over there. A lot of people join us to promote color stone in China. Without you, we wouldn't have done that. We really appreciate. So, in China, in the last quarter of 2022, we really feel depressed because everything is shut down. So I want to have a little update to give you what's going on in China market now. The video you're seeing is Golden Plaza, Shuibei, Shenzhen, at the very center of China jewelry industry. So this is midnight. The first video you see is midnight, almost like 12 p.m. People start piled to buy, and as they are still doing the delivering, packing, everything. And in the morning, they wait outside the door and rush into the shop to grab everything. Because in 2022, the major problem for the industry is not demand. The major problem is supply chain. So once the lockdown is lifted, everyone is going crazy to buy something. Please be aware, this is not a retail business. The whole mansion, the whole area is a wholesale business. So if you look at the girl, if you look at the picture with the red circle, it's a girl who is selling through live broadcast. She probably is selling to a remote small city customer there, maybe retailer, maybe designer, and she probably is selling more than all those people here put together. So in China, we always say China is not one single market. China is a combination of a group market. You have markets who appreciate really high-end, extremely high-end product, or commercial class, or very low-end, maybe $100 US merchandise. Everyone can find their market there. So we really want to say, like, color color gemstone in China is only start. The business has a huge potential there. And also, we really want to bring sources to China. We are inclusive, not exclusive. Our mission is through the education in China to make the whole industry grow and to make Chinese to realize the value and the beauty, the rarity of color stone in China. So all of these friends, we work together, we make a lot of effort, and we really made a difference in China. And I believe, in this room, we have the best expert here and the best expertise. So we really want you join us in the future to work with us to promote color stone in China, to have the industry more sustainable and develop more in China. Okay, I really want to thank ICA having us here to do this presentation and to show you what's going on in China. And this report, it's an honor we can present this market report to you. And if you want to get the PDF soft copy, we are here available to send it by email or other stuff. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Tell you, it was the first time that on sharply to the second. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Ruby. It was an amazing presentation. We don't have time for questions,
Everybody
but
knows how to find us.
exactly. Thank you very much.
One point I'd like to make that I didn't make earlier is China is moving from a price point market to a value market. And that's good news for everybody in this room. They are understanding value, and in China, it's very innovative, and you've got to be innovative, and you've got to move fast, even
Like-
for a grandpa. Thank you.
Gotta move fast is the word. Thank you very much. Your notes.